Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, May the 14th, and we are late. It is 7 p.m. and we are just starting. First thing I need to do is, somehow you've got 2 free packs, so I don't know what's going on, particularly with my Asian accounts, but I will take it. Let's start by spectating this person who is rank 2 that I'm friends with, and that will be a great point for me to just start to go through news. I'm not sure I have a ton of news, frankly, but I bet I do. I spent Saturday playing Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens, and then I spent Sunday playing with real world Legos, ironically. So I took a little bit of a break. I'm thinking now that there definitely is a flaw in Lego games that has yet to be fixed, even though they've made 10 or 20 of them in the series. And the main flaw is that when you get into free play mode, when you finish the story, you start playing in areas and doing puzzles that require you to switch between different minifigs. And in The Force Awakens, it's nearly 300 minifigs when you have all the DLC, which is a ridiculously large amount of characters. Many of the characters are just costume swaps of the same actual person. But in comparison to the real world, there is probably over 900 minifigs is what I saw when looking it up for the Star Wars genre alone. But it's not realistic that most kids would have over 800 minifigs. Many of those minifigs, I'm sure, came out when the Lego Star Wars sets first arrived and are now extremely rare and rather expensive. I think it would be more realistic to say in any single year, Lego probably only releases closer to 100, maybe 200 minifigs in every single Star Wars set that they sell in a year. So for there to be nearly 300 in the game is too much. But that's only part of the problem. The other part of the problem is you've played the story mode in the Lego Force Awakens. It's 10 levels, and you never, in those 10 levels, run into a puzzle where you need to be a specific minifig to open a door or solve anything or unlock any kind of collectible. And then, after you're done with the story mode, that's pretty much all you do, and you don't do any of the puzzles or platforming or action things that you had done in the story. So it's 2 very separate games that need to be better mixed. And you can still tell the story that way, but it just needs to be rethought. To me at least, my screen looks completely different. I've set my monitor in game mode, which has taken out the custom calibration, making the colors a lot less bright, making it look a lot uglier to my eyes. I prefer, and following calibration software, you're supposed to prefer a very bright and very colorful image when you're playing a video game, which is a bright and colorful cartoony element. But having set my TV to the default of game mode in the hopes that that might improve frame rate and vertical sync that shouldn't even be on, it set everything back to a very dull, very boring and ugly looking thing. Hopefully none of that actually affects you. What is going to affect you, is because it's going to affect me, is I also have set my dots per inch to 100%, which does not work because I'm looking at a TV, about a 35-inch TV 10 feet away, so the text is incredibly small, and so I'm going to have a lot of struggle to read things. moving on with the news, though. It's looking more and more realistic that the Rage 2 Walmart Canada leak is a viral marketing campaign intentionally done. It's very possible that I think it's Epic that owns. No, it's Bethesda Softworks. Maybe Bethesda owns Epic now. It may very well be the case that Bethesda Softworks threw several other developers under the bus by leaking information that way it cuts some of the steam out for games that they already knew that Bethesda would have already known was coming out, while leaking out that Rage 2 is coming out. Unless this is just the biggest troll ever and it's not Rage 2, because that's weird. I mean, that certainly could be it. Frankly, I would highly argue that getting people hyped on Rage 2 would have been better. It would have been better to do the hype train. I don't think you're dancing around what, from what I hear, everybody says was a very bad ending. I only got a few hours into Rage 1 myself, and then I just got busy with real life, and frankly, I was very much enjoying Rage 1. So if it had a bad boss fight at the end, I didn't see it. That was one of those rare occasions that actually, there aren't too many instances where I've played a game and not played it all the way to the end, and there's certainly a lot of instances where I've played really, really bad games all the way to the end. I'm not sure I really want Bethesda to be making Rage 2. If I went back in the history, I suspect there's probably been job listings and indications that Bethesda was working on something else, but I wouldn't have ever thought that it should have been Rage 2. I would have hoped it would have been a new property, and if I was going to hype Rage 2, I think I would say that Rage 2 is a soft reboot, that it's going to be, we're going to try it again and we're going to do it better this time. Does Bethesda perhaps have a deep hate for Gearbox and Borderlands, and they're just trying to compete against that? You kind of have to wonder, like, because there was all kinds of time that you could have snuck Rage 2 out between Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel, and Borderlands the pre-sequel, and what we assume is going to be an announcement for Borderlands 3. And there's still, I guess, a chance that Bethesda is actually working with Gearbox and they're going to be releasing Borderlands 3. All of this, of course, is kind of pointless speculation too, so I need to move on, as the trailer officially is supposed to come out tomorrow. So we'll talk about it on the Wednesday show. So moving on, we have a game on Steam called Zombie Apocalypse. It's $7.99, no reviews. Not starting on a terrible foot. This does kind of look like it is a different spin on Plague Evolved, or Plague Inc. Evolved. It is not as polished as that game, but it does kind of just feel like it's an attempt at that and not a complete failure of an attempt. Now, this came out May 14th and it's the only game from this developer, so I don't fully. Let's just go ahead and do this other one here. Defeat 3 bosses in a dungeon run. Choose. And where were we on this one? Double hell thing. a bunch of combos, secrets. I think we might take the secrets. Yeah, let's take the secrets. And keep playing. I can't be guaranteed that Zombie Commander is going to be a good game, but I think I'll wishlist it. I've heard that there's an actual date. I think I heard it was June 14th is when they suspect that the Steam Summer Sale is going to happen. So that is before June 30th for the point of the Pinball Arcade DLC. So I'm thinking the entire summer sale for me, unless people want to be really generous and gift me games or gift me gift cards there to save up for that summer sale. I think the entire summer sale for me is going to be spending $200 on DLC for the Pinball Arcade and no other games, which that is not really what needs to happen, because let's be honest, having more games is the lifeblood of making sure I have enough variety. Let's see.
Job done.
So, yep. Did I say why I started so late? Basically just insomnia and overslept. That's kind of all there really is to it, is stayed up too late in the middle of the night, not really doing anything beneficial to my channel or helpful. There is certainly a lot of problems when trying to manage your life when you have insomnia, because there's certainly, at least for me, a lot of instances where I am trying to go to sleep. I know I'm supposed to be going to sleep, but I'm getting distracted and I'm not tired, and because of that, the problems occur. Like, I'll just stay up all night in a failed attempts to try and make myself sleep when it won't happen. So 5 to 8 hours is wasted lying in a bed because I'm too tired, or at least I think I'm too tired, or I think I'm supposed to be asleep to record. And then, of course, when I finally do go to sleep 5 hours later, I've then wasted. Let's see. Throw your weapon and menu if it deals the damage and returns.
Calm down, I'm a doctor.
Let's go and kill this guy. Attack this one and then return. So ideally I wanted to do some Lego recording after today, but if I do that certainly would probably have me recording late into the early morning tomorrow, which only increases the odds of me starting late. Starting late Wednesday. Let's just keep on playing things. So it's still very much a struggle. Moving on though, I guess whining about insomnia. It certainly shows why, though, this is why I don't work for other people anymore. It's like, And I am hopefully never going to work for any other person ever again because it's just too much of a hassle to try and maintain any regular hours. And it's certainly why most of my videos are pre-recorded videos that are scheduled to come out at very specific times, is because if I had to be awake to release them, that would be a hassle that I don't think I would be willing to put up with. Let's see. Let's do this, this, this. We got Ninja Jester on the chat saying, "Yo, my mage deck is better. Congratulations." Hi. Next game we have on the Steam is called Stonewall Penitentiary. It's adventure, indie, gore, violent with nudity. This looks like a Telltale game, but it certainly isn't from the Telltale creators. So I guess it's a point-and-click adventure game with kind of a comic book art style. It's a little surprising more people haven't stolen the art style that Telltale has done. Says as an all-time peak of 8 people playing it, 10% off for $12.59. Has, let's see, 1 positive user review. And the positive review is the mouse cursor vanishes after tabbing out and switching monitors, waiting for a patch. Which, that's hardly a good user review, even if it is recommended. I was hoping for something more. Alright, how do we want to do this? Kill this, play this, attack here, and end the turn. I think I'm gonna be a little generous today, though. Let's look just at the developer of Stonewall Penitentiary. They've made 4 other games, one of which is rated positively. Their other games were only $3, where this one is asking for $13. It's asking certainly a lot, but I'm gonna be generous and wishlist this one. It looks like they've really put some effort in here, and honestly, maybe the 3D models are asset flips in the sense that they're not original 3D models, but they are contextually well placed and matched inside the artistic scene. So it's potentially the case that they got a good video filter. Let's see, what does this one do? Destroy a minion. Alright. Attack here. Do this. Do this. Like this. So yeah, I'm gonna wishlist Stonewall Penitentiary. I heavily suspect that is not going to be the case. However, we're not gonna end up wishlisting every game that comes out. I have half a suspicion that Rage 2 might just be the name they're putting on a game that was going to be a completely different game, because I do not remember Rage having so much pink and blue, like neon pink and blue in their animation and art style. It feels like they're following a different art guide. Right. This. Return this. Play this. Kill this.
Job's done.
It's gonna be really interesting if Rage 2 comes out and a lot of people play it and then hate it. And then it just becomes this odd blip in history. It's like, oh yeah, they made a sequel. It would be very much in line with the Prey game from Bethesda, like, and frankly, Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Like, both of those games are, well, Prey is a remake of Prey is an example of a game that, like, that was just a reboot using the same name. Let's see, what do we want to do? Let's go destroy this one, and then retire this one, and then do this,
Job's
and
done.
then end the turn. So yeah, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, just kind of a continuation of the Deus Ex series. Not that good. They haven't really done, well, no, Fallout 4 kind of is a continuation of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, and it wasn't that good either. So it would be right in line with Bethesda to release a pretty mediocre sequel, and there really isn't a great reason not to believe that that is a good chance with Rage 2. Let's say the opposite happens, it becomes even stranger. If Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which is a bigger series than Prey, than Rage is, and if Mankind Divided is and it's bad, and Fallout 4, which is a much bigger series than Rage is, comes out and it's mediocre at best, and Prey comes out and it's a reboot and it's mediocre at best, what does that say about the priorities of Bethesda if Rage 2 comes out and it's the best game ever? If it beats Witcher 3, if it's amazingly good? Like, how did the funding get funneled from the development of a better Deus Ex game that probably should have happened, or the better development of Fallout, which definitely should have happened? Yeah, that really doesn't feel like a sensible chance. Yeah, the more I think about it, if Rage 2 gets announced, it's almost guaranteed to be garbage. It really is. Like, it's hard for it not to be. It's gotta be worse than Fallout 4. It's gotta be worse than Deus Ex. It's gotta be worse than Dishonored. It's gotta be worse than Prey. There's like 4 Bethesda games that Rage 2 has to be worse than, or there's just some incredibly insane budgeting issues that going the wrong way. And we know Bethesda is kind of crazy about their management, where they over control things and force in things like multiplayer in Deus Ex Mankind Divided is something that was forced in by management. So maybe they accidentally stumbled onto something cool with Rage 2, but no, I don't agree. Like, before it's even announced, I can predict. I'm gonna officially predict. I'm gonna put myself out there. Rage 2 is gonna be a bad game. It really does. Because of the fact that we've had a lot of Bethesda games lately, and they were mediocre at best. So Rage 2 has to be less than Prey, Fallout 4, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and not Darksiders 2, but Dishonored 2. Like, so whichever one of those 4 games you thought was the worst, Rage 2 pretty much has to be worse than that. And I don't know how you get away from thinking that way, or how I could get away from thinking that way, short of them taking a very long break from releasing any games, and I don't think Bethesda can do that. Anyways, I'm talking about Rage 2 way too much. I want to kind of hurry through these news. Gematsu has an article, My Hero 1's Justice launches August 23rd in Japan. It's, so that's My Hero 1 apostrophe S, and then Justice. So I wonder if it's My Hero, comma, 1's Justice, or My Hero 1's semicolon Justice, and translating from Japanese to English. It's a Bandai Namco game, and it's better known as let's see, it's that anime Boku no Hero. I Am the Hero is, I think, how it would be better translated by. Sometimes that happens. Animes get translated into different ways. It's kind of funny that Japanese in particular sometimes will translate things into English and then argue that they're translated right. It's also My Hero Academia, so I think it's a crossover battle game between the two of them. Anyways, it's going to be released for the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, and PC in 2018, so that is covering the Xbox One, and if you see a game coming out to the Xbox One, it's coming to more foreign markets, such as the West. Yeah, pretty much the West. I don't think Indonesia or South Korea or any other Asian countries is selling very many Xbox Ones either. So if it's Xbox One, it's gotta be the West. That anime is pretty popular right now, so it's not super surprising. It looks like it's probably just a fighter game, which would be in line since it's a fighter anime. I haven't seen too much of it, but what I did see didn't seem like it was very much interesting. Speaking of Japanese, this is a weird move. Kind of a very cool move. This article is from TechRaptor. Super Hot JP is an upcoming Japanese-inspired take on Super Hot. So, a different company has been allowed to effectively license out the concept of Super Hot and put a Japanese spin on it. So the developers are called Game Tomo, or Game Tomo Project, and they're going to put a Japanese spin on it. Now, I don't know what you're really changing too much there. Are you changing the iconic red pixely voxel-based characters into something else? Are you changing the iconic white walls into a different architectural style? Because the white walls in the original Super Hot are very minimalistic, very just boxy, mostly very wide hallways that you can run around for gameplay reasons. So I'm not not really certain what you're changing. Now, Superhot's main gameplay mechanic is that you shoot guns, handguns, shotguns. I believe there's a katana already in it, so if this is as simple as just, well, you're going to specifically only use the katana and not use the guns, that doesn't really help anything. I don't think Superhot has a small knife, which I suppose that would be something that you could try to add, but
Job's done.
yeah, I'm not sure what you really change here, unless you really go the full anime route and all the red characters become anime characters. I mean, that idea would kind of work, because the red characters in Superhot are supposedly supposed to be the other people in VR, and that would kind of make sense. And I'm not getting any use out of this hyena because nobody's dying. These two are pumping everybody up too much. Of course, that's nothing to really complain about. They're in a really early stages, so I suppose you could set it outside. You could set it in a Zen, like, temple, Japanese temple area instead of inside offices. You could try to put a different story spin on it. Plus one attack for each minion you control, so this could be an 8-5. Or I could play this with Rush. I'm gonna take this. Weapon seems like it would be a good move. I'll take 2 kill commands. It's kind of pointless also to waste too much time speculating on what Superhot JP is gonna be since it's so early. Next article from TechRaptor, which is kind of amazing. We have 2 TechRaptor articles back to back because they really don't have a ton of news that they flood my Twitter account with like PC Gamer does. The Hitman Absolution contract mode is going offline temporarily, and the DLC has been removed from sale. With the game servers going down, it can usually be attributed to 2 reasons. The first is that the game, for one reason or another, cannot sustain a reasonable player base. Another potential reason it is that some kind of technical issue is what the article starts with. But I imagine in this instance that's not the case. I imagine what's going here is that IO Interactive has taken over control of the Hitman series, and I believe it was EA or Square Enix? No, it was Square Enix, I think, is simply shutting it down so that somebody else can Let's see. In a very rare turn of events, Hitman Absolution's contract servers are going down until further notice because of the passing of legislation and the fact that the servers are not owned by the game's current publisher, IO Interactive. So it is a case of Square Enix just shutting it down. So yet another example here of the General Data Protection Regulation being used, I think, mostly as an excuse. Here's the truth of any law like the GDPR. The European Union can pass any laws they want, but they have to have the courts and the legal system and the money to fight and prosecute anybody who violates that. And there are going to be so many people that violate or don't fully comply, at least, with those regulations, that millions, if not yeah, thousands, if not thousands, millions of companies are not going to be in compliance when that law happens. And there's no real recourse that they're really going to have.
This isn't Moonglade.
So, it's really just an excuse. The other part of that is you can geo-fence and not have anybody in the European Union play on the servers, and you don't have to change anything. So the whole thing is just a BS. Yeah, it's just an excuse. The truth is, Hitman Absolution is not the latest Hitman game, or people should know that at least. And it's by Square Enix, and Square Enix doesn't want anything more to do with Hitman. Now, IO Interactive, on the other hand, also doesn't want anything to do with Hitman Absolution either. So this is probably going to very quickly turn out that people are going to have to, and probably already have, hacked some form of like private servers into the game. What I'm looking for here in this article, though, and this is not much of an article, it's 3 paragraphs. I'm not sure if I really like that TechRaptor doesn't bother with filling up a bunch of pictures and you know, ads in between their articles. Also, I have ad blocker on, so it's possible they do fill up their articles with a bunch of ads and I'm just not seeing it. But it's been quite a long time since I've seen any video game article where it was 3 short paragraphs that wasn't stretched across 5 pages on the screen. Usually articles for video games are pretty short, but they're stretched to make you see as many ads as possible, and they just hideous looking. The final paragraph here, since the middle paragraph seems to be only talking about the GDPR. As a result, until IO Interactive announces otherwise, you will not be able to purchase Contracts Mode DLC for Hitman Absolution in any way whatsoever. While IO wants to make it clear that the recent turn of events will have no impact on Hitman, referring to the 2016 game, Hitman that is still receiving new content, that Hitman game is still and that the server closures are due to factors that are outside of their control, like Square Enix no longer owning them, and them now having Hitman IP separate from Square Enix. No firm date has been set for when people can expect things to return to normal. I think you're probably being really ridiculous if you think it's ever coming back. And that's just the end of it. And maybe you could complain and get a refund for the DLC itself. But until somebody hacks in private servers, expect the Contracts mode, which was a decent mode, I think. It wasn't my cup of tea, but I certainly could have seen that why other people would have liked it.
I just can't do that.
Moving on, Gametsu has an article, the Nintendo Classic Mini Famicom Weekly Shonen Jump 50th Anniversary Edition is coming out in Japan. So, in case you probably don't know who Shonen Jump is, Shonen Jump is a long-running teenage boys weekly, I think it's weekly magazine. It's a combination of several comic books together. The long-running Dragon Ball Z runs on Shonen Jump. One Piece, I believe, runs on Shonen Jump. Maybe several other people things that you might have heard of. There's a decent amount. I believe Bleach ran in Shonen Jump for its entire run, but I think it got canceled. So Shonen Jump's a big deal. They are effectively a Marvel or DC equivalent in Japan. So they're getting a special Nintendo Mini, well, not Nintendo Mini, but Famicom, which is what the NES was based off of, which will just have, one assumes, a large amount of games that are somewhat related to that. Let's see. The games that are on this Famicom Mini are Captain Tsubasa 1 and 2, Dragon Ball 3 Gokuden, Dragon Ball Z Kyoshu Saiyajin, Dragon Ball Sharin no Nazo, Dragon Quest, Famicom Jump Hero Retsuden, Famicom Jump 2 Saikyu no Shinshin, Fist of the North Star, or as it's known, Hokkaido no Ken, and Hokkaido no Ken 3 Shin Seiyu Soju Seiken Restuden. And apologies if I'm mispronouncing these horribly. I would hope I'm at least doing somewhat decent decent pronunciation.
The beast is near.
Kinnikumin, 2 Kinnikumin games, 1 Kinnikumin, Kinnikusi Oi, Sutades Susen, and Tag Team Match Muscle, and then 2 Saint Seiya games, Saint Seiya Oyu Goen Densetsu, and Oyu Goen Densetsu Kanketsu Suhin. Also, it has Enkoku Shinwa Yamata Tekuru Densetsu. I believe that would be what is that? The Yamato. The big boat in space. Yeah, whatever. Next game also they have Destiny of an Empire, and then they have Magical Taruru Tokun Fantastic World, and Rokuten Shi Blues, and Sakigake Otojoku Shippu Ichigusei, and then Sikiru Uyu. So that is the longest list of me trying to pronounce Japanese games. That is a super long list. Point being there, well, I can tell you Saint Seiya has come over, Fist of the North Star has come over, Dragon Quest has come over, Dragon Ball, Captain Tsubasa might be known to anime fans, and some of these others very possibly are known to anime fans. These 20 built-in games are probably not very good games, because they would be NES games that only came out to Japan, and I heavily suspect even then they wouldn't have been the greatest of products. Let's see. This. All weapons works pretty good. Yeah, very unlikely that the Shonen Jump version would come over to the West. In fact, I think most people who would want this, if they were in the West, would probably just want to import it anyways. that would make a lot more sense. Unleash the Hounds and kill command, or yeah, I'll take this. Just move on. But there is also some good news as far as Nintendo Minis, because the Nintendo Mini is coming back for, I believe, a short limited run. And I imagine Nintendo will do that. The Nintendo, it's not called the Mini, it's called the Nintendo Classic, or the Nintendo Classic Mini. So those Western versions of it also available. It's still not really the best deal ever. Like, as long as Nintendo is going to continue to keep the products limited enough to keep the value of a Nintendo Classic Mini high, I think it's somewhere between $45 and $70 to get one, when I would prefer for that hardware to be topping out at maximum at the at a what would I want to pay for it? Somewhere between $30 and $50 max. I'd like to see the markets flooded with Nintendo Minis, and then I could hack one, and that you're still not really getting much of a benefit from hacking it. Since I've already built a Raspberry Pi that can do everything a Nintendo Mini can do, and a lot more, you're still way better off doing that. You're not then limited to very weird controllers that are non-USB interfaces and very weird hardware that aren't standard open source pieces of chips. So if I was to ever even get a Nintendo Classic Mini, I almost certainly am going to get it second-hand used. And that's a weird thing too, because if you're talking a second-hand used hardware device to buy right now, you're much better off buying a Nintendo Wii, because if GameStop, in the United States at least, is doing a pretty decent deal right now to get a Nintendo Wii and 3 games for $60, and you can hack a Wii and put all kinds of homebrew software on it and go that direction. And I can't say for certain, but I'm fairly sure you could also do something a little bit illegal and have the what was I gonna say? You could probably download some illegal copies of other Wii games. Well, you really don't even need to go through that hassle though, because buying used Wii games at a GameStop would be pretty cheap anyways. It'd probably be easier than trying to download it and taking the risk of getting a virus. Moving on in articles, PC Gamer has an article, Platinum claims it will turn the action genre on its head. That's a quote with an upcoming unannounced game. I'm not sure if it is an actual quote, because I saw a different quote, and that seems a little odd. Now, when a company like Platinum Games, to me, says something like they're going to turn the action genre on its head, my first thought is that they very possibly are going to actually have a giant spinning head as the main character, and because of that, that's gonna be the action game, and maybe it's gonna be like a breakdancing game where you're spinning on your head and fighting that way. Maybe it's gonna be just a giant head something like that. That's what I get from somebody saying something like that. That is kind of ridiculous, but it's also kind of what I would expect from something like Platinum Games. But let's take them less literally and think it is something along the lines between a Bayonetta 3 or 4 and Nier Automata. And it really is under the idea and the auspices of making a significant change in gameplay. Really, I guess, could not possibly have a clue what it would be that would change the action genre. I would much prefer that Platinum Games to A, patch Nier Automata, B, get Bayonetta 2 on PC, C, get Bayonetta 3 coming out on PC, which they did announce a Bayonetta 3, didn't they?
It's a love story. It's a ghost story. It's the story.
One thing I heard that's not in this PC Gamer article is that they said it was going to be a team of about 20 people, so it can't be that big. But you could certainly start development on a game with 20 people and then ramp up development. Once you have the engine and the fight mechanic working, it's not very difficult to add another 20 people to add levels. Add another 10 people to make more boss fights, assuming there are boss fights. It's kind of nice, I guess, maybe for Platinum to try and continue to make non-licensed products and new IP. That way they're not under the auspices of Nintendo holding Bayonetta license. But the only reason Nintendo even holds the license for Bayonetta is because it did not it simply didn't make enough money to fund a sequel. It seems like Platinum Games kind of is bad at funding its own games and saving money from profits. Maybe it's not actually making very much profit too. I guess that could also be part of it. I guess I don't want to play a third secret because that might trigger something. Let's see. The guy says he thinks Platinum's reputation as a developer that aims to create combo-based action games is a misconception, albeit a nice one. I would not argue, I would not say that's what Platinum is doing. Platinum is trying to tell interesting stories.
Forever.
And they're using a well-known video game mechanic to tell interesting stories. If Bayonetta didn't have an interesting story with nice visual appeals, it wouldn't sell. If Nier Automata didn't have an interesting story with nice visual appeal, visuals, it wouldn't sell. Nobody would have played those games, frankly, if it was just about the gameplay. Although the gameplay is, for the most part, really, really good. Shouldn't have done that. But I guess I did, so I'll have to live with it. This is also one of those articles, as much as I like Platinum Games, this is also one of those articles from PC Gamer that doesn't need to exist. Just, let's be honest. it's not a thing that's going to
Join me.
matter.
Don't go.
So cheap death. Spray this.
Come back to me.
Attack here. Attack here. Single turn. Yeah, we needed some solid information, and there's really no solid information. Just that Platinum Games is working on a new game, which is slightly irritating, certainly, but not super unexpected either.
I'm never letting go.
This is the character that's rather annoying to play as, or play against.
For Gilneas!
I will keep you close.
Next article we have from Gamematsu. 8-bit adventure game Aloy's Awakening is coming to Switch this week. Solve puzzles, fight enemies, and defeat bosses in an interconnected world. This looks... what would you call this? I've seen a lot of games like this. It looks like Zelda. Yeah, I guess the original Zelda game. Except for you're using a magic staff. Let's watch the trailer. The Switch in particular is enjoying a lot of people making clones of original NES games. I assume are just having quite the renaissance.
For Gilneas!
My darling.
It's already available on Steam, so let's hop over to the Steam page for this game. Alwa's ALWA Awakening. Who knows? I didn't see a date, so apologies for that. Let's see, it's very positive. 86 of 159 reviewers. Let's see. Add 2 extra copies of it. And taunt. I'm gonna take this one. Feign Death. All of those guys. I think we'll definitely take Pack Mentality. And let's do this. So, Alwa's Awakening is 45% off right now for $5.49 as part of a week-long deal that ends May 21st. I think I would take that game. It's now relevant and makes sense to play that. To play it as a Metacritic of 71, so it's not rated as high as you might want, but because it's coming out to Switch, and it looks good enough. I really haven't on my channel ever attempted or thought about covering games that look like NES games. I guess since I'm PC only, this would be a good example of one to try and do. It's got people behind it telling me that it's a good game. It's 45% off, which is a pretty decent game considering it came out February 2nd, 2017. Maybe the Steam Summer Sale would have it. They're saying it's a Metroidvania game. Yeah, I guess maybe it is more of a Metroidvania game than it is a Zelda game. So yeah, that would be another game I'd like to see people. I like to see people gift that game to me. PC Gamer has another article. This trucker put a gaming PC in his big rig to deal with the isolation of the open road, which that is insane on the face of it because you think, oh, how in the world is that safe that somebody's playing video games while driving a big rig truck, an 18-wheeler truck. But looking at the picture, he's got the computer and the mouse and the keyboard in the spare passenger spot where apparently he took the seat out, and it's facing the other direction. So I think it inherently, if he is playing the game, he's doing it by facing backwards and literally not touching the accelerator or the brake or the steering wheel. So it's hard to believe that he was, let's see, that he actually is doing it while he's driving. I have a slight question about that. Like, it sounds like a good idea, and trucking is certainly not the best job ever. It can pay decently, but it requires a lot of sitting, and more than even a YouTuber who plays video games all day has to do, and a lot of stress and loneliness. So, but I've thought maybe about being a trucker in the broadest, most general terms, and having a PC to play would be an interesting move there. But then also I would also suspect that there's a extremely high danger of getting robbed. There's probably a problem with getting power. There's definitely a problem with getting internet. So yeah, I don't know. So I don't know if this is a work of a great concept. This quote here in this article: I wake up, drive 10 hours, play some games, then go to bed. I just don't see too many jobs being like that. Well, if you are okay with not getting paid anything, you can be a YouTube video game critic, wake up, play video games for 10 hours, and then go to bed.
This isn't
This will be our last game for this recording. There's a chance here I'm going to win even. It's not a great chance, but a chance.
This beast will not be tamed. Job's done.
Gamatsu has an article, a 3D adventure game, Giraffe and Anaki, A-N-N-I-K-A, coming to the PS4 and Switch in 2019. Become a cat-eared girl and explore a mysterious island. I recently saw a speedrun of a game called something Towards the Sky, and it looked like an interesting game, although the speedrunner said it was actually a pretty bad game. Let's kill this guy. I don't think I can win here. Let's see. It's a 3D adventure game, Giraffe and Anaka, which I guess Anaka may be the name of the turtle that she's riding in this picture, and Giraffe is the name of the girl. Maybe. Let's do this. And then let's do this. And then let's do this. Oh, I should have done this first.
Where two fall, four shall sprout.
And let's do this. Do this. Let's watch the trailer. calling a game a 3D platforming game is kind of confusing because it's in Unreal Engine 4, so it looks amazingly good to start off with. But I really don't know what it is. There's that issue. Let's kill one of these guys.
Job's done.
I would pretty much call it, it's like a JRPG, but I mean, all I'm seeing is this cat-eared girl, cat girl. It's not just a cat-eared girl, she also has a tail, so. And there's some cutscenes that are just kind of the visual novel, flat cutscenes. I'm not sure I really trust this game because it seems like it's a mix and match of different elements. Like they were able to do a decent job making an open world game, and they were able to do a decent job putting a little bit of platforming in it, but not enough. And so I also have some fear. It seems like there's also some boss fights. You have like this enemy, I think that's, or several different enemies that are being shown in the trailer that have like a giant crab you're gonna have to fight, and a giant robot that you're gonna have to fight. I can't say I'm not interested in this game, but I feel like this is a game where I'm certainly going to get more information about it and lose interest in it. Let's go ahead and
Where one falls, two shall sprout.
let's see. Seems like the game has let's see, apparently it also has a PC release that's coming out, so I need to see if if it comes to Steam, which I assume it will. It's not out yet on Steam, as best as I can tell. That they're linking to an official website, so if I go to the official website, will I perhaps see the Steam logo?
Darkness rises.
I like this official website for this game. I have to point that out. It probably is coming to Steam if it's Unreal. This website has all kinds of screenshots and art, and they're really showing things off. I want to see if this company has made anything else. No, they really are covering this more like if you were making a Ghibli film than they are if you're making a game, and I think that's the aesthetic that they are certainly going for. Unfortunately, since there's no like, because there's no website or anything to deal with, it's kind of hard to wishlist it or even remember it. So I'll probably talk about Giraffe and Annika, A-N-N-I-K-A, again before I even remember it. And frankly, it probably isn't one to keep your eyes on as much as I'd like it to be, because I think it has a good chance that it's just going to be mediocre. There we go, we can play one of these. do this. And then this is a long game, I know, so apologies for that. He's got like 8 more cards, so in theory, if I can just not die.
Careful, they bite.
Like, if I could do a board clear, get rid of the remaining 7 cards.
This isn't
and keep myself alive long enough, I could might survive. Game Master has an article, Final Fantasy 11 reboot for mobile screenshots. It's in development by a company called Nexon, N-E-X-O-N. I didn't know Final Fantasy 11 was getting rebooted for mobile. It looks really good, but honestly, I don't think it's gonna do that well on a cell phone. This is a rare example of Gematsu hyping up a game. Nexon Korea. Let's see. Apparently it was supposed to come out in 2016, this reboot, so it's 2 years behind. Also, alright. How in the world? Oh my goodness. Wow. I must apologize for my stupidity. We did that whole run on the Monster Hunt thinking I was working towards this. And this is a dungeon run. So apparently you can get a watch and learn daily quest to get a pack. And you can get a dungeon run quest to get a pack. And you can get a Monster Hunt quest to get a pack. You could get 3 packs in 3 days, which would be amazing. And particularly for my Asian and European account, that would be great. Meanwhile, though, the vast majority of this hour has accidentally been a waste of time. It would have been not so much a waste of time had I won that last battle, but that would have just been progress towards a card back. Oh well, I guess we got cards, and I can't complain about getting classic cards. This is exactly what I've suggested Hearthstone needs to do, is give these new accounts a ridiculous amount of card packs to help them catch up. And I don't know if this was random chance that I got to watch and learn in a dungeon run quest in the same 3-day period, or if this was intentional. But either way, we got 3 new cards, and that certainly is going to be helpful, particularly if I decide to go back and try and use hsreplay.net again and see if I could get maybe some better decks. Although frankly, I'm not sure that's what I'm going to do. And we've gone about 30 minutes over. Stay tuned if you're watching live. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, click the notification bell, please. Comment and watch every second of my videos, because all of that helps me with YouTube. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, mid-June is the Steam Summer Sale. Gift me a game during that, save yourself some money, and that way you could gift me even more games. Or you can help me prepare for that by gifting me a gift card. Or, you know, Humble Bundle sales are going on right now. If you want to give me a Steam code directly through a direct message on Twitter, that also is viable and helpful. My collection of video games has not been growing very much this year. It doesn't particularly need to grow that much, but it would be very helpful also if it did. More variety, newer games, always something that is very helpful. A lot of the games that I cover that are pre-recorded are older games, and certainly a lot of people aren't interested in those as much as the newer ones. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.